Hello. Okay, this talk is going to be in English. Okay, I will try to be, I will make short sentences and I will try to speak slow, so I hope you can all understand me. I'm going to introduce the Gandi command line interface, which is a open source command line interface you can use to manage all your Gandi services. And you can find it at cli.gandi.net and also on GitHub if you want to fork or clone it. So who's Gandi? Gandi is a French company. We exist since 15 years already. It was one of the first registrars in France for .com and .net. At that time, there was only a .com and .net in the internet. CCTLDs, they came afterwards. And we always had the same kind of image that we don't really advertise, that we don't really try to push too much to sell our domain names to people. So this makes a big difference from us to other registrars. And I think I have to mention that, I will mention that quite often in this talk, because as you probably know, with domain names, there's a lot of gray area. Like some people, they say, okay, you buy it for 1 year, then if you renew the next year, you have to pay more, or you need to buy additional product, or people hold your domain hostage. So there's a lot of scams around domain names. So we try to fight against it and also try to be the most net neutral registrar on the internet. And the Taipei office exists since 2014, since last year. And I've set it up here because my wife is Taiwanese, so and I live in Taiwan. So the only choice for me was to set up the company in Taipei, which is quite unusual, I think, because most companies, they probably choose Singapore or somewhere else, somewhere offshore, as they would say in Europe. So Taipei is the place we are now. And since the beginning of this year, we also have Chinese language support on our website, so you can use the site entirely in Chinese. We're a team now of around 10 people in Taipei since 1 year. And we have also currency support now since a few weeks for the new Taiwan dollar. So you can buy domains in NT dollar and you can get your Fabiao. Yeah, which was very tough because Fabiao is a very local thing in Taiwan. Our other offices, they are in San Francisco, Luxembourg, and the headquarters is still in Paris, and the main development team is still in Paris. We are around 120 people globally, and we manage 1.7 million domain names for a lot of customers. So the team is actually quite small for managing such a big customer base. And over the years, we've kept the slogan "No bullshit," but I will explain in the next slide about it. So no bullshit really means, okay, we don't do advertisement. That means no mass media. You're not going to find a newspaper advert. You're not going to see a Google ad of us. You're not going to see, buy this domain now. It's going to be cheaper if you buy 2 or 3 domains at the same time. So we don't do this kind of thing. We don't do mass emails. You will not receive spam from us every week that there's now a new TLD and you must buy this domain. So we try to keep the communication at a minimum and to be as informative as possible, because from our history, most of our users, they're actually geeks or people who are coders or developers who like just to have a service which works without having any bullshit. Okay, and our support is also very high ranking in France. We're the #1 registrar in France for internet domain names, and I think #5 in Europe and probably #20 worldwide. So what we do is our support is not like a call center. The support that we have here in Taipei right now is around 5 people, and they also speak French, so they also support the French customer base, and we don't use any call center. So that's why our support is also very well trained by us, and they're actually part of the core team, and they're very involved in all the decision making. We are a very horizontal oriented company. We also support a lot of open source projects, and we don't just say we support them by, we do open source. No. We do this by supporting them really financially, or with office space, or with making real contributions to them. For example, VLC, which you know maybe, the video LAN client. Who knows VLC? Okay, all the French people, they know VLC. It's a media player you can use for Windows or Linux, and it plays a lot of different formats. What we do for them actually is we sponsor them an office. And there's like 5 people who are next to our office in Paris who develop the software there. And I think since they have this office, it's very the quality has very much improved of the software. And other projects we support is the Electronic Frontier Foundation. So if you buy specific domains with us, we will give part of the revenue to the Electronic Frontier Foundation. It's an organization which focuses a lot on internet freedom and making sure that there's not just one super website which is just running the whole internet or one provider. And we are very much focused also on the Linux community, so we support Ubuntu and Debian and the GNOME Foundation as well. In Taipei, we now support the Taipei Hackerspace with a monthly contribution, so we give them some money to pay their rent. And yeah, so that's, but if you have a project, if you think you have an awesome open source project in Taiwan, which is used by many people, and you think you need funds or support from us, or hosting, or domain name, you can contact me and we can figure out what we can do. Yeah, we are also hiring. So I'm very happy that since around 2 weeks, we are quite open also to hire people in Taipei who are developers. Before that, we didn't really consider to hire someone in Taipei who's a developer because the main development team is in Paris. We're looking for front-end developers because we are right now redesigning or relaunching our website, which you can find at beta.gandi.net. It's a new version. And it uses some of the latest technologies like React.js, and it's following a more streamlined process to have not too much duplication or not too much problems with running the backend and the front end at the same time. So it's a very interesting project if you want to work on that, but you must be really good in Python. Is the only problem. So if you are very good in Python and you think you are bored about your job and it doesn't give you enough, enough challenge anymore, then contact me because probably we need you. And we look for the same kind of person in the backend. Most of our backend services, microservices, are written in Python. So we look someone to optimize our API and have our backend stably working. So in terms of products, before I get to the CLI, in terms of products, we have over 600 top-level domains. Right now, I think in promotion is .party and .science. They only cost 11 Taiwan dollar. There's since 2014, there's a lot of new top-level domains. I'm not sure if you heard about .taipei. So .taipei should probably launch sometime this summer, and you can get a .taipei domain from us as well. And the thing is, with the new top-level domain names, there's a lot of different type of top-level domains. You have brands like .asa, .htc. You also have .cities like .tokyo, which already exist, .osaka, and each one of them also has their different requirements. For example, if you want a .osaka, you will have to live in Osaka. But if you want a .tokyo, they don't care. You can have it from anywhere in the world. So it's different rules for different domains. We are also, since last week, accredited for .tw directly. We already sold it for many years, but we have now directly accreditation for .tw. So we are, I think, the 9th registrar for .tw, which was natural for us because we are based in Taipei. So I'm very happy that we are there. So it's like the first real foreign company which is no bullshit and focused on developers to offer a domain name registration service in Taipei. For hosting, we also have hosting since 2008. Platform as a service and infrastructure as a service. So you can run your own VPS or your own application, let's say web application, which you can just deploy if you don't want to manage your infrastructure. And our PaaS comes with a Varnish cache and in all different flavors of programming language. So if you don't know Python and you're more a Ruby guy, then you can also use our service. I've actually no statistics what is the most used instance, but we have a couple of 100,000 of people who use our apps. Right now the data center is in Tokyo soon, I think in September, and in Luxembourg, Paris, and US East Coast. Okay, so now we'll get to the CLI. Yeah, so you can find our CLI at cli.gandi.net. In case you're in front of a computer right now, you can already try that. The internet is working quite well here. And if you come to the Gandi website, you see the interface first. You see, okay, you can do, you can see it, okay. Yeah, okay, so this is the Gandi website. And you can see you can register a domain name. You can find a domain name. For example, if I look for, it will look for the domain name PyCon if the internet is working. And it will give you a suggestion of the new extensions and also the local names. What is your preferred thing? You can see, okay, this domain name is available here, this domain name. So you have different types of domain names which are proposed to you. And you can see the currency is in NT dollar. Okay, sorry. I just tried to make it appear on one display, but it doesn't really work. Okay, it's going to be a little bit tough about looking over there at the same time I'm talking here. So if you have the Gandhi website, you can easily see, okay, you have this registration. You can just add it to the shopping cart. You can figure your DNS. The thing is, we are not. Then afterwards, we're not going to ask you to create a website. We're not going to ask you to have hosting with us. You can use the registration with us, and you can use another hosting provider. So we don't have a problem with that. The difference with us is to other providers, which is also no bullshit, is we want you to build your own internet. We want you to build your own infrastructure. So we are focusing basically just on providing you a clean DNS service, which runs very stable for us. I think we had no major outage the last 24 months at least. We also have a DNS POP in Tokyo, so even from Taiwan is very, very reachable, the DNS infrastructure. And this is our new website, which is coming up. As I mentioned, you can find it on beta.gandhi.net. So this is responsive and very fast. I think we used a color scheme which is very similar to that of Debian. And this is our new site. So if you would work as a developer with us, you would have this website to work on. The Gandi CLI, you can find it on GitHub as an open source project. It includes, of course, the complete source code, which is accessing our API. And we provide a lot of examples how you can manage specific Gandhi services. So we also sell SSL certificates, so you can use it to manage your SSL certificates, which for some people is a big annoyance to manage SSL certificates because you need to renew them every year. And for domain names, you can register a domain name. And for infrastructure as a service, you can create vhosts, you can recreate them, you can destroy them. So you can find all the samples on this. And okay, I'm gonna try to install it now like this. I hope you can read it. Can everybody read it? I don't know. I think it should be clear. So on this system, I already installed the Gandi CLI. So I can just do Gandi VM list to show my list of VMs. But I want to show you how to set it up. So I will go through the process of setting up the CLI totally. So for that, I'm just going to create a new VM. So I just type Gandi VM create, hostname, PyCon. And just a second. If I call Gandi VM create -- help, it will also show me, okay, what kind of parameters I can set. It's not really optimized for this display, but you can see with -- image, you can say which image you want to run. Like you say, we have all flavors of Linux. We don't have any Windows hosting right now, but you can choose all flavors of Linux, including the latest Debian 8. You can set a host name. By default, it's using SSH keys. And you can set the IP version if you want to use IPv6 or IPv4. If you use IPv6, it's cheaper, but you will probably not be able to access every host on the internet. Okay, so now I create a virtual machine. And by default is 2 cores and I think 1 gigabyte or 256 megabyte of RAM, which you can use like a small compute engine. If you just want to run some small server, that's usually enough. It usually takes about a minute. And we still have 22 minutes left, so that should be okay. Yeah, it's just it's using the default image which I specified before. It's like, I think it's a Ubuntu image I use. If I want to say, okay, I want to use another image, I can also use Gandi VM, and Gandi VM list will list all the VMs I have now. So because I just created the PyCon image, you can see there's a host name called PyCon. If I call Gandi VM help again, I can see with Gandi VM images, for example, if I look for Debian images, it will tell me in which data centers, which Debian version can be used as an image. So here we'll show, okay, Debian 8, 64 bits, and Debian 7, 64 bits as HVM image. And also older versions of Debian. If you want to run a very stable system, sometimes it's preferable that you use an older version like Debian 7. So again, with Gandi VM info, I can say, okay, I want to see what is information about the VM PyCon I just created. And I can see it's running, it's using Ubuntu 14.04. And now I can use SSH with the IP address. To connect to the instance. Oops, okay, I think I created that one before, so it doesn't like to keep. Inline. Oops. Yes. So now I'm connected to this instance. So you can see there's not much running here right now. Okay, it's just an idle new image with 256 megabyte of RAM and 3 gigabyte of disk space. And if I so now what I'm doing is I'm updating just a list of the packages, and I'm downloading htop. So with htop I can see, okay, how many CPUs I have and how much memory. If I say now I want to increase the amount of CPUs and maybe the amount of memory because I have some processing to do. Maybe I want to convert some images, I want to create thumbnails, or have some dynamic process, which I necessarily don't want to pay more. So I will just use Gandi VM update PyCon --cores 4. Oops. Too many windows. And once the process is complete, you can see once you relaunch htop that the CPUs have increased to 4 dynamically. Oops. So now it's 4 CPUs. So you can do this on the fly. The same with memory. You can increase it to 2 gigabyte. I think up to 32 gigabyte memory is okay. So this is a very easy way to dynamically manage your infrastructure and say, okay, I want to have more space, I want to have less space, I want to increase the disk size. So you don't need to recreate the entire VM. The same if you have like a disk, a virtual disk, you can detach it from a server, you can reattach it using the CLI, and you can also say you want to increase the disk space. So you don't, like other hosting providers, you don't just want to say, okay, I have to restart the server because I need to. You just call the resize operation, the Linux operating system, and with X4 you can do it on the fly. Okay, so now I will try to show you how to set this up. So you can see I'm not logged in here with a Gandi account. So what I have to do first is I have to resize a little bit. I log into the Gandi website. We have several type of accounts. We have a reseller account, which you can use if you manage another customer's portfolio. You see that .porn is now in promotion. Okay, but you can register as individual, a company, or a public body, or a reseller. So a reseller account is something actually you can manage other people's domain names and nobody will see that you are the reseller. So this is something you can do if you have a lot of customers. In case you're a web hosting company, that's something you would use. So right now here I'm saying individual and I just put my name, some random password, address. Okay, how is clear. And you see the mandatory questions are only to the minimum. I mean, we try not to ask you too many questions, just what is necessary. I know that many, especially in Taiwan, many companies, they also ask you for your birth date, your ID card, your the name of your wife, okay, what kind of car you drive. So we don't ask for this kind of questions. But we still have to ask for some mandatory data because this is necessary for the Whois. So it's an ICANN rule that you provide a certain type of information for your domain name. Because of course you become the legal owner of the domain name and the hosting, so we need at least to know something about you. Submit. Oops, okay. Of course we need to give an email address. So I just use a empty one. And I have to say I'm in Taipei. And you are created. So now you would confirmation email and confirm your email address. We tell you, okay, if you need help, you can contact us. Here you see, okay, I don't have any domain names right now in my portfolio. I don't have any servers. If I go to account management, if I want to buy one, the easiest way would be if I go to billing and I activate a prepaid account. So a prepaid account is you add money from your bank account and then with that you manage the server. And because if you want to use the CLI, you need to use our API. And to activate our API, you need to have an API key. And the API key can just be set up in your account with 2 clicks. But to use it, you need to have the prepaid account. And let's see. Oops. So over here, that's already done. I have $1,080 on my account. If I go to my account and I say account management, now because I have money on the prepaid account, I can activate it in OT&E first. OT&E is like you can test every operation in case you use our API to automate your process. You can test everything without having to pay for it. So you would first test OTE. And it requires some activation. So if you click this, then we will activate an API key on our OT&E platform. The thing is now on the VM I just created, on the PyCon VM. See, I think I still have a shell open there. Okay, if I go out here, so now I want to install the Gandi CLI, so I can just do that with a couple of commands. Oops, where's mouse. Yeah, so what I do here is now I install the easy install, which you maybe know, is a setup tool. So the command I run was just this. I just run the easy setup. You know the pip command is the same kind of thing. So once I've done that, I can either git clone the API from our GitHub account, or I could just say, I think it's easy install Gandi CLI. Oops, or not. Okay, it's Gandi.cli. So I just do easy install Gandi.cli. And once I type Gandi, you can see it's already working. I can set up VMs, I can create domain names, vhosts, PaaS instances, I can manage my SSH key. But before you can actually use it, of course, you need to set up the API key. The easiest way to do is you just do Gandi setup. And he will ask you for an API key. Oh, it's still being created. Okay, so I was expecting it would already be done, but anyhow, that would be done right now, I think. But okay, it's not ready yet. It usually takes like 5 minutes to create the API key on our platform, but it seems to take a bit longer today. All right. So you would just enter the API key here. You can enter the correct key, and then afterwards you are able to manage your instances and also your server with the Gandi API. Okay. Any questions?
I have just set up my command line and it works really great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, that confirms no bullshit, I think. But do you have any specific questions? If you have any questions about domain names, you can also ask me. I mean, if you think about domain names, you always think it's something simple, easy. But actually, we manage over 600 extensions with over 195 countries, when some of them have their own rules. So if you have a big company, you can imagine it's very hard to manage a domain name portfolio. So we are in Taipei now, so if you have any questions, you can just call us or send us an email, or even visit us, I guess. And yeah, you can ask any question over there. Any other question?
Okay, when we want to open a new product, find the right name which is never been registered before is really a nightmare. So is there a way to check the domain name? For example, if there is a database we can download and see that the name has been registered already or not. I know there is some service, but we want to have a faster way to do that.
I mean, we have a thing called TLD suggest. So as you saw before, if you search for a name, you can see what is the available extension and what is the available names you can use.
Okay.
But I think the brand name is very important for a domain name, as you mentioned. So it's not just having a Facebook page, because you never know how Facebook will change their service tomorrow, and you cannot have a shop on Facebook. You cannot extend the services on Facebook. So I would probably take a long time to think about which domain name I want to use for my company or for my project. What's very popular among developers usually is .io. It's a country top level domain, a little bit more expensive, but .io we found it is quite popular. And if you just have some domain name you want to use for short term, you can also check You can also go by price and see, okay, what is the cheapest right now? And as I mentioned, .party right now is very cheap. So, for example, I could just see. I could call the API if I use, for example, chocolate.party. I'm sure it's already taken. I just say, okay, I want to have it for 1 year. So you see, okay, this domain already exists quite quickly. If I say PyCon.party, I'm sure nobody took it yet. So you see, okay, I would be the owner now of this domain name with just one comment.
Whoa.
So I don't know how you want to use it next year. Maybe we can use it for the PyCon conference next year. But it's only 11 Taiwan dollars. So it's something very. The cheap domain names are also nice ones to just try something with domains to see how you can use domain names. Okay, Taipei has been created. Yeah. So now if I go to our website and I look at the Whois, this is a database which is managed by each registry. You can see who is the domain owner. And I would look at PyCon.party. You see that I'm now the owner for PyCon.party.
Wow.
And it expires next year. So that's how easy it is to create a domain name. You don't have to click 20 times. You don't have to say like, oh, I don't want web service. I don't want redirection. I don't want this. Okay, so you can really build your service the way you want it and fast. And you save a lot of time. Any other questions?
Who uses .science?
.science. I don't know. I think some institution like Academia Seneca, they would probably use it because they have a lot of Earth science here, so they probably use Earth.science. They could use it for a product or for a promotion. It looks very nice to have .science if you promote a brand, I guess. So they could say like Earth science and show a poster with the Earth. I mean that's my imagination. So some domain names they are for identities, like saying okay .science. There's also TLDs which are there for raising awareness. For example, there's a .hiv, and if you buy a .hiv, all the money you buy for this domain name will go to some foundations which are doing research on this domain name. And as I mentioned, other ones are about cities, but .science is just like .party right now is also on 11 NT only, so you could also get PyCon.science, Python science. I'm sure. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Any other question?
Could we upload the private image? How to build a private image? What kind of a format Gandhi support now? Thank you.
You can. The easiest way is you just build your own kernel, and once you have built your own kernel and you put it on the disk in the root of the disk, so it's just like you would install your own Linux kernel. You can choose from your own disk to use it as a root device. So you would just clone this image using the CLI. And if I type, not this one doesn't work. You see here I type Gandhi VM images, and you see there's a image sys PyCon. So this is the system disk of the image I just created. But I could use this image also to create a new VM. I would just rename it in the web interface, the label, and it could be my own image. You can also say that your image is public, and actually anybody here in the room could use it. So you could run your own Linux distributions. If you want to have some special kernel which is only doing CPU memory calculations, you could also use that. Okay. Any other question? Linux hosting service? Yeah. I mean, if you have a domain name, by default you are using our DNS infrastructure, and we have POPs right now in Tokyo, Paris, and US East Coast. Yeah. If I have a bunch of domains, so if you type I own .party now, so this thing was. So these are domain names I have on my. I have village.ninja. I have night.market. Okay, so I have a couple of domains, not too many, less than 50, but I'm not a domainer. Okay, domainer are people who buy domain names for reselling them. But I can see, okay, the handle for PyCon.party is my Gandhi handle. The FQDN, the full qualified domain name is PyCon.party, and it's using this domain services. So afterwards, I could just say, okay, I want to change the DNS or use another DNS service. Or you could even run your own DNS service. And so this is the same like the web UI. If you are not comfortable managing your domain name here, you can just use the website and say, okay, you want to edit the zone file, change the MX record. At Gandhi, we provide also Gandimail, a public email service, which is not, we were Gmail before Gmail existed, Gandimail, right? But yeah, so we also have a mail service with a web interface, which is using Roundcube. And you can practically, we have a lot of services, as I mentioned in the beginning, which you can build your internet from. So yeah, anyways, we are in Taipei, and if you have any question, come to our booth or send me an email. Yeah, and we will be around for you.
So can I say
You can set it in the website and also by the CLI. So the CLI has the comments for managing the zone file. So you can make a backup of if you're familiar with zone files, you can make a backup of a zone, you can copy a zone, you can clone a zone. So yeah, so we provide all of that. So we do it since 15 years, so we know very well about how to manage the zone files. Yeah. Right?
Right. Thanks again to Thomas.